When Art Rooney II speaks, we listen. Yesterday he did 2 interviews with Missy Matthews and the other one was with Bob Pompiani and discussed a lot of things relating to the Steelers like last season, talks about coaches and players. So we're going to go over the important stuff here on Big Deke News and then react to it. First, let's start with everyone's favorite offensive coordinator, Art Rooney II, on why Canada was brought back.
I think the improvement that we saw over the course of the season, particularly some key statistical areas, we really improved in third down efficiency and ball possession. That helped us, stay in those games and win those games down the stretch. So there are things we need to improve on. Our red zone offense needs to be better. We need to score more points. But, there was definite improvement there.
And, I think Mike feels like there's enough to build on there that, starting over, you never know what you're going to get if you start over again. And so, we think there's enough to build on there that, bringing Matt back and working with Kenny, he and Kenny seem to have a good working relationship and a productive relationship. So, those are all things that we want to continue to build on.
Is Mr. Rooney listening to my takes? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, that's basically everything I said as to why the Steelers should bring back Canada. Improvement from the offense in the second half of the season, improvement in the running game, improvement in the rookie quarterback's play, and also good relationship with the rookie quarterback and the offensive coordinator. Yet some people are wondering if the Steelers only brought Canada back because he has 1 year left on his contract and it runs through 2023.
Did playing a role in this was the fact he had a year left on the contract? If he didn't, would that have changed anything?
No, I don't think so. No, the evaluation was, are we making progress here or not? And I think we saw enough progress there that we wanted to keep him.
Mr. Rooney also briefly talked about Mike Tomlin.
I think the number one thing you look at, I look at in terms of the job a coach does is, does the team get better over the course of the season? And we clearly did that. Look, I don't really evaluate Mike on anything other than I'm glad he's our coach, and I think hopefully he'll be our coach into the future, and I think he gives us a chance to win year in and year out and put us in a position that we have a chance to compete for a championship.
Yeah, I feel like this is how a lot of us think about Mike Tomlin, although no, it's more split than that. Steeler Nation's probably like 50-50, but in my opinion, I think Tomlin's a damn good coach, and that's why you want to keep him around, particularly with a young quarterback just starting off his career. You want a Hall of Fame coach. You want a proven guy around, and based off Mr. Rooney's answer, it seems like it's going to stay that way, and I'm 100% good with it. But speaking of Steelers quarterbacks, here's what impressed Mr. Rooney the most about Kenny Pickett's play in his rookie season.
I think his mental toughness showed, particularly down the end in terms of, leading us on some key drives late in games that we needed to win games and really needed games to stay alive. And so, I like what we saw there in terms of key situations that he held up and finished the job. And, I think that was something that you never know. You don't know whether a quarterback can do that or not until he does it. So it was good to see that.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment to make, in my opinion. You had the Raiders game and the Ravens game with those game-winning drives late in the season. And think of the circumstances surrounding those games. Not only was it do or die for us to still remain in playoff contention, but the Raiders game on Christmas Eve at home, night game, on the 50th Immaculate Reception anniversary and just days after Franco Harris's passing. Like, you got to win that game. And then the Ravens game, that is our biggest rival. We know how we talk about those Steeler-Ravens games. It's like, who's going to show up? Who has the most willpower? And it's probably the biggest rivalry in the NFL. But that game in particular, again, night game, Sunday night game, on the road, playoff lives are on the line, and Pickett delivered in both of those scenarios. And I feel like Mr. Rooney's word of mental toughness is appropriate because those two games were after what happened earlier in the season with some failures in those type of moments. Like the Dolphins game on Sunday night. The Dolphins game on Sunday Night Football And also, we could talk about the Jets game and his first appearance. Like, I didn't think those interceptions were necessarily on him, but at the same time, if he takes care of the ball and doesn't put the ball potentially in harm's way, I think we have a better chance of getting out of that stadium. Now, the defense could have stepped up too, but you get my point. For him to turn it around and we see, like, hey, okay, we need to step it up when the games are on the line or when it's winning moments. He did that in the second half of the season, all the way from the beginning to end, but obviously the Ravens and Raiders game were in a more dramatic fashion where it was just like literally one drive, this is it, we need 7 points. I felt like Pickett was going to be good. He showed it at Pitt, displayed it in the preseason. At the moment wasn't too big for him, but there's still a next level. There's still a progression to all this, and I feel like throughout the regular season last year, Pickett displayed those traits that you're looking for out of a franchise quarterback. The framework is there. The mental toughness, the overcoming adversity, stepping up when it matters most. Like, those type of things that we witnessed got people like the GOAT saying the sky's the limit.
Kenny, keep doing what you're doing because you are leading this team and becoming the guy that I think everyone was hoping you would be. And I think the sky's the limit for him, really.
But what about the other Steelers quarterback this season? Here's what Mr. Rooney had to say about Mitch Trubisky.
Are you satisfied with him as the backup? I know he has a year left. Do you see any changes to the backup situation there?
It's still early in the offseason, but, I expect Mitch will be on the roster next year and be, an effective backup if we need him. I think he showed that he can be, that we can win with him. And so, I think he'll be on the roster next year, yeah.
Huh? He's back on a $10.6 million cap hit? And if we release him or trade him, we get $8 million in savings? You know what we could spend that $8 million on? I know a lot of you guys are thinking strippers and coke, but how about we just keep it simple with bringing back a Larry Ogunjobi or bringing back a Cam Sutton? I don't think Mitch ends up staying. I don't think it's wise for the Steelers and their cap situation. I don't necessarily think Mitch is going to want to stay. But let's be honest, what else was Mr. Rooney going to say here? He also discussed some around the league topics, like the possibility of a neutral site conference championship game.
No, I'm not at all a proponent of that. I don't like the idea. Would hate not having an AFC Championship game here if we had the opportunity. So, and I could be wrong, but I don't think the idea has much traction among other owners either.
Completely agree. It would be an absolute joke if the NFL decided to do this. The teams that have the best records in the regular season should be rewarded, and that is with home field advantage throughout the playoffs and home field advantage in a conference championship game. It's as simple as that. Neutral site games should be left to the Super Bowl and international games. But before I sign off, he did talk about one more around the league topic, and that is about the possibility of the city of Pittsburgh hosting an NFL draft.
Yeah, we want to pursue hosting the draft in Pittsburgh, and have had some discussions about it. So it's definitely something that's on our radar screen that we're going to try and pursue.
It means a lot of money for sure.
That'd be great for the city, absolutely. Yeah.
Simple way to put it, if the mistake on the lake can host an NFL draft, there's no reason why the greatest city in America can't either. Goodell, let's make it happen. Bring the NFL draft to the Steel City. But that is it for this edition of Big Deke News on a Friday. You guys enjoy your weekend. Let me know your thoughts about some of Mr. Rooney's answers in his interviews from yesterday. But outside of that, again, enjoy your weekend. Stay chilling. And peace.